Hi everyone, Trina here. Today I'm doing a flip through of this junk journal that I made. Let me just say right from the get-go, I just recently moved and I'm still trying to work on my lighting. I got some new equipment, but I did move, so the place I was at before I had wonderful lighting. I had more room to set it up. Here I'm a little bit smunched, so this is all trial and error, but I did want to go ahead and get some of these things put up because I want to move on. So anyway, this is a junk journal, as I said, and it's titled Grow. I don't know if you can see that right now, but it has 3 signatures in it, and this was made using an old book cover. My libraries where I lived before, they used to sell their books, excuse me, so I would go and get them to save them from going in the trash, and I do use the insides to make different items. I cut out the words and so forth, so I feel like I'm doing my part to save the books in a manner of speaking, and saving them from the trash at any rate. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, here's a top-down view, and this little thing is, well, little, it's pretty chunky. This is holding it shut, so you'll see when I take that off how much it really expands. Over here on the spine, I made this tassel. It has some suede, some stretchy, well, it's not that stretchy, but just some stretchy lace there. Some dangles, bits and bobs, little butterfly, different beads, little sparkly purple beads, which I love. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, those teeny tiny sparkles. But there's that, and it's just held on with a binder clip that comes off, and then that can be used as a bookmark or what have you. Alright, so then this is just tied on. Again, it's a little bit of stretchy lace there, but then there is it's coupled with some vintage curtain material there, vintage lace that doesn't stretch though. Alright, let's go ahead and take this off and we'll get started. So on the cover, while I'm unwrapping, I did use some designer paper for the spine area, and it has flowers on it, and again it says Grow across there. It is cracking a little bit on a couple of the corners. It's really the first one that I made using designer paper on the spine. It's one of those live and learn things, right? And on the back, as is true on the front, I used some lace there with these cute little flowers. And then I made this book plate out of some of the designer paper, and I think there's some netting on there, tulle, and some old vintage material back there, some book page. There's an example of where I use some of the book pages, and I just hand wrote that on there and then put a couple of little black blingy gems on there. I don't know if you can see, but they're kind of sparkly a little bit. Again, I don't know how well this is going to go with the new setup and the lighting, but we'll try to get through it as best we can. Okay, so we open it up. In the front, there's a tuck spot here where I have my letter from the maker. It's just a little hi, journal, thank you, have fun, you know. Alright, and then I put a little bit of that lace on the inside to help cover up the spine, because when you get books, sometimes they don't look pretty on the spine, so I did what I could to cover it up. There is some designer paper back there as well. And here on the inside cover, you can see some more of that designer paper from that paper pad. I think it's really pretty. I just love it. And all the designer paper that you're going to see in here came from the same paper pad. Alright, I just took these little paper clip and made little tags out of them. They do come off, but I'm not going to take it off. And I did stamp each one with a different color butterfly. Okay, moving right along. In here, there is this belly band that I made, and this is a little tag that's kind of multi-purpose. There's the belly band. It has some gold foiling, rose gold it looks like. Alright, and so this tag in here There is a bit of paper that I dyed. I believe I might have used food coloring for this, but it's kind of a purplish color. And it just folds up and tucks into this little tuck spot right here, this little pocket. Again, there's a little bit more of that lace on there. Some stretchy white lace here on the top. You flip it over and there's like a little notepad back here. Again, this is some paper that I dyed. I'm not sure which one this was. It might have been paper that I did with beets or beet juice. But there's that. Okay, I'll just tuck that back in there. Alright, and piece of tracing paper here. Again, I did mention that there are 3 signatures in here, I believe. And here I have this really large, I think this was a stamp. I have a really large stamp, and I just did some stamping there. Alright, excuse me for a moment. The kitty's about to walk over here, and I need to get him down before he does that. I have 2 kitties, and they're 25 pounds, and so when they come around, you know it. Alright, so on the corners, you can see I did some cute little punching there. Alright, and next page, have this little, I made a pocket here with some, what did I use? Some baking paper, I believe, and then I decoupaged a napkin onto it, which I thought was really cute with the bird, and I did that on some paper that I dyed. I'm not sure what that one was. That might have been my attempt at avocado dyeing that went terribly awry. And then I made this tag here. I just put some paper on the back that I dyed and inked it up around the edges. And then on this side, there's some Mod Podge on there because I just, again, took bits of napkin and decoupaged that on. Put some little reinforcers on there and some ribbon. There's that. And also, that was tucked in there, is this. And it's just a little fold out. Just some extra journaling space. Yes, this was avocado, I believe, or beets. Maybe it was beets. I experimented with so much, it's hard to keep it all straight. And these were made several months ago. I mean, with the move and the flood and everything else that's been going on for the past several months, I haven't really had time to get back to this, and so there's a lot I don't remember. And on this page you'll see that there's some pretty lace here. Let's see if I can get that a little bit closer so you can see. And there's a little safety pin here with a little cute little pink bead, pink and white. Next page, I just did a little bit of stamping, and it's okay with me that they're messed up. In fact, in many cases, I wait until they're in the journal before I stamp them, because I do want kind of the distressed look. I don't want them to look perfect, and they certainly don't. Thank you very much. Down here, a little bit of stenciling, kind of hard to see because I did tone on tone, so to speak, and more paper that I dyed. And then over here, this is, I didn't invent this, but I call it a PS pocket because it just makes me think that it's like an afterthought. So you can open it up and there's journaling space in there. You can see there's a little burlap heart there that I inked up, and a little bit more of that flower there. And that is a pocket, and I made this tag, and I just used some paper that I had. They were scraps, and I folded it over. Gosh, what is that, Constantina folding? I forgot. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it or not, if it's going to pick it up, but I did go over this with some Wink of Stella, so it has a little bit of sparkle to it. It's hard to see. And then I did the inking on the background, butterfly stamps, and then drew in these little white lines. See if you can see them, to serve as like the trail of the butterflies. New camera, still trying to get used to it, sorry. And that's the back of it. Just tuck that there for now. And then there's just this little white tag in here, nothing special, that sits in here. and I made this little thing. It's another one of those little pieces of paper that opens up so you have extra journaling spot, and that just tucks in there. Okay, that lives there. And more punching here. And here we have a top tuck spot. Let me move those out of the way, sorry. Top tuck spot. It has this little cut apart journaling card. I love, love, love this piece of paper. I love the way it turned out so much. I think it's really pretty. I like the color combination as well as just the design, the pattern on it. So pretty. Alright. There's the back side of it. Again, I did some stamping in the corners. Of course, it looks distressed, as I mentioned. That's kind of what I'm going for. And this piece of paper, I actually printed something out, and that design was on the paper before I dyed it. And it's an old image that I got. It's in the public domain, but I thought it was really kind of neat, and it fit in with the journal, what with the flowers and all the floral theme. And then here on this paper clip, I have a safety pin, and there's just a little fake pearl type bead on there, and that holds this on, although it's on this side as well. As you can see, it folds over. But I did this wax seal with the ribbon here, and did a bunch of inking to this tea stained paper just to fold out to look like an old letter. And I really love the design on this too. I love the way it came out. Sorry for the shadows and everything, guys. I feel like such a jerk doing this, but I really, really need to get these done and move on. But again, I'm doing some experimenting here with my new equipment and trying to figure this lighting out and so forth, so my apologies. Anyway, I swear I won't say that again. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll wait to put that back on. Just a minute. I want to show you this side. So this is the back side. It's just flipped over, and I punched some holes here and then ran the ribbon through. Make a little decorative edge. I don't know if you can see that, but the ribbon actually has some sparklies on the edge of it. And once this is back together like this, that also serves as a tuck spot that's held together by this. Okay, there's that. And then over here, there's another top tuck spot here. And I didn't put it all the way to the top because I did do some stenciling and stuff on around the edge, and I just like that so much that I didn't want to cover it up. And I think that stamping might be coming through from the other side. But again, more hand dyed paper there. And this is just a little card, journaling card. And it actually does have a little tuck spot on it, so if you wanted to stick something in there, you could. Down here. So, like, you know, you could stick a photograph or something there. That goes there. Actually, the writing goes that way. Sorry. So that is actually a top tuck spot. Okay, next page, as I mentioned, some more stamping down here in the corner. And that's the back side of it. I really like the way that the paper is like an even color. I think I might have had something laying across it when I was doing the baking. And I do bake all my papers because I just love the crunchy, crackly sound. Alright, here's some resume paper. And then this is the center of the first signature. And I left the strings long because I thought, you know, if I gift this to someone or sell it or what have you, the person who gets it could personalize it with whatever they want by adding some charms or beads or something down it, or just to the ends, or they could tie it in a bow or snip it off. I just thought that that would be a way to leave it so that it could be personalized a little bit by whoever ends up with this. Okay, that's of course the opposite side of the resume paper. Oh yeah, by the way, this measures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5 approximately by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ish, maybe 6 1/4. Okay, so here's a pocket that I made, and what I have an old what is it, Better Homes and Garden, very vintage Better Homes and gardening book, and it's actually reminds me of some of the old cookbooks that have the it looks like a 3-ring binder, and it has many pages divided into sections about the different types of concerns for gardening. So I used a piece of that here to create this pocket, and I just put a little strip of the designer paper across there, and then I created this cluster out of some tulle, a little bit of that stretchy lace, and again some book pages. There are like 3 layers of book page. I think that tulle has a little bit of gold interwoven with it, or sprayed on it. I think you can kind of see it sparkling. And then there's just a button with a little piece of embroidery thread there to hold those all together. And inside here, well, again, hand-dyed paper. I think this is the opposite side of that other one that I said. I just loved that 2-tone there. And I just put one of the journaling cards. It was a cut apart in the paper pad. I think you can see how it has some foiling on it. I just left it blank on the back, except for, you can see the lines coming through. And this is a tag that I made out of I took a sheet of cardstock and just did like a collage, and then cut it down into tags using some of the bits from the book that I just mentioned a bit ago, some napkins, some book pages and so forth, some tissue paper, and stamped a little butterfly there. Up here, some of that stretchy lace. Used some ribbon to make a double bow there, pink and purple, and then the back side just has a little bit of inking and so forth. Alright. Oh my gosh, the shadows are pretty bad. I'm sorry. I adjusted my lighting right before I did this video, because the one that I did before wasn't really great, but now of course I'm affected with all these shadows. My apologies. I appreciate you bearing with me. Oh, I said I wasn't going to mention that again. Whoopsies. Back side of that paper. And then this is a little piece of paper that I dyed. I believe this was beet dyeing. Yeah, I think I used beets there. Okay, and then down here I have a little corner double tuck spot, and I just ripped the paper, but there's the black layer and then the floral layer. Again, in the background you can see some more hand-dyed paper. I really like this design too. I think it's really pretty. Okay, and then there are several things that I had, whoops, I forgot to put this back in here. Sorry for the backtracking. Anyway, so in the back I just have this little journaling card that I created. You could actually put a photo on there, or there's a tuck spot here so you could tuck something in there, and that is in the back. And then in the front I made this little paper pad. There's the back of it with the designer paper, a little bit of ribbon there to hold it together and hold these pieces of paper in, and I just used some of the scraps from the dyed paper in here to make this little journaling pad, and that goes in the front pocket. And on the edge of this paper you can see there's some lace here down the edge, and then a bulb pin, little, I think it's black bulb pin with a little marbleized looking bead there. Okay, back side you can see this design here, which I think again is so pretty. I just love that. And I think we're coming up to, I'm not sure, oh, that's some vintage paper. I think this is vintage paper that's over 100 years old, which I used at least 1 or 2 or 3 pieces in each thing that I make. Nothing special in terms of the way that it looks, but it's just really old and I like having that history in here. I made a pocket here, another one out of a, I believe that's a glassine bag, with a decoupage napkin over it. In the background on this paper that I dyed, you can see that I did stamping, stenciling, something back there. Okay, and then I made a couple of things here. Here's a tag that I made. Again, I used some napkin to do some decoupaging here. I inked up around the edges, and I put this little definition here that came out of an old dictionary that I got from the library that they were getting rid of. And on the back I put some lined paper that I dyed, just glued it around the edges to leave it so that it crackles or crinkles or a little bit if you're writing on it. And yeah, there's that. And then I made this little tag sort of thing here. Again, I have cluster, just a piece of scrap paper going across there glued on, and then here's a little, so that's a little tuck spot, and just this teeniest tiniest tag. Has a little bit of a sheen on the front. Don't know if you can really tell on camera. The back is matte though, and that just goes in there. And this is just a piece of paper that I had left over, and I just ripped it because I thought it made it look really pretty like that. And the back is just plain, and that goes in there, the back side of that paper. And then here on this next page I have this little thing that I made. I was going to put something on there, but I never could settle on what I wanted to put on there, and that's just held across these two pieces of paper with this paper clip that has a safety pin on it that has this little bead. And set that aside so you can see that. So I took a doily that I dyed along with some paper that I dyed and just held the doily on the paper and ripped around it, and then I stitched them together with this little string, and then I adhered that to the doily. Again, originally I thought that I would put something there, but then I thought, you know, if the recipient of this journal wants to, they could actually write something there themselves, himself, herself. And you can see here that when I was dyeing this paper, I actually laid a doily on top of it, so it gave it that nice little doily effect. And here's the inside. You can see the string there. So there's that. And again, I think this was beat dyed paper. I don't know if you can tell from way down there, but I did some punching, corner punching on these. I really like that little punch that I have. I think it's really cute and delicate. Alright, moving right along. Okay, so here's another page that I dyed. I just kind of left it blank for the most part, and it's a very subtle dye job. You can't really tell all that much. And here I used some more of that pretty lace with the little flowers. I really like that for some reason. I guess it's so simple, but not so simple. Okay, and then we are here to the tracing paper that we saw at the beginning, and we come to the back of the signature. I did an upper tuck spot with 3 banners of varying sizes, and this is another little card, journaling card that I cut out from that collage that I made. Did a little bit of stamping there around that, but I think I did that when it was still a full piece of cardstock before I cut it out. And again, bits and pieces from that vintage gardening book, and there is an image here too, tissue paper, more napkin, and there's the back, just some random inking. Alright, so that is the end of the first signature. Now we're moving on to the second signature. I don't know if you can see that paper, but I really do like the design that's on this paper. Okay, and another one of these little flag paper clips that I stamped with a butterfly. And then here I fussy cut some of those flowers from the designer paper to create a little tuck spot here. And this is just a cut apart from the designer paper. It's blank on the back side, but I thought it was really pretty. It could be used as a photo mat, and if somebody wanted to get really adventurous and they wanted to put a photo that would fit in there, they could fussy cut around here to slide the photo in. But I did enough with that. I figured I was done fussy cutting. Okay, some tissue paper. Not tissue paper, sorry, tracing paper. I seem to have a thing for doing that, using tracing paper in the beginning of my signatures. Alright, here is a little tuck spot, again, a little PS pocket, and that flips up, and again, I have the little burlap heart down there that I inked up, and some more of that pretty little lace. And there's another one of these that I did the wax seal on. And this paper was tea dyed, and I think there might be some beet dyeing there too. I think I tea dyed it, but then I splashed some beet juice on here just to see what the effect would be like, and I actually really liked it at the end of it all. And I did ink the edges with some purple. So there's that, and that just tucks in there. Oh, you can also see here that I dyed this paper, and you can see where I had doilies laying over the top. Well, were it not for the shadows, you'd be able to see, but anyway, there's that. Okay, there's the opposite side, and then this was another piece of dyed paper. And then I took some paper scraps here and just folded them over and stitched it on by hand with some embroidery floss, just to add a little decorative edge to it. And there's the other side of it, which I think turned out really pretty. And this is some more of that vintage paper. And then here on this page, I actually crinkled it up, and I was okay with the hole in it. And I did some of that corner punching, and it is dyed. It's a little bit of a thicker paper than just regular copy paper, just a little bit thicker. And these little pockets here are actually adhered down. Well, pockets, envelopes, but pockets. They are adhered down. I made them out of the different dyed papers that I have, and each one of them has something in it. This one has one of these little tags. I can't really tell. I don't think this one has the sheen on it. Maybe. And I just fussy cut out this little purple flower here, put some ribbon on there. It's blank on the back as well, except for a little bit of inking, and that just sits in this little bitty envelope here. And then in this envelope, I just created this little tag. Just opens up, have journaling space. There's the back of it, and there's the front of it, and it just has a little piece of baker's twine right there. And in this pocket, I made this little notepad. It's a scallop. You can see that there's a brad here. There it is. And I used some of the designer paper to create like a little cover. And then inside, you see it just goes like that. A couple pieces of dyed paper that I punched out with my circle punch as well. Okay. And that just sits in there. Now, just so that you know, many of these ideas I got from watching videos, inspiration online on YouTube, so I didn't make up this stuff for the most part. I mean, some things are my own, I think, but you know what they say, there's nothing new. So here's some more paper that I dyed, and this was beet juice, I believe, and beets. And this is vintage paper. This paper is over 100 years old, and I just created a top tuck spot, and I just left it for whomever ends up with this. They can do whatever they want with that top tuck. There's the back side of the paper. Again, you can see a little number down here. And then I created another one of these, and there are actually two pockets there, although I only put one card there, so there's space to tuck other things, and this could actually be tucked in the top one if you had something to tuck behind it that's bigger. And that is a little tuck spot on that card as well. Okay, more dyed paper. Here I did some stenciling. You can see there's lace here on the side, and up here is a little safety pin with a little gem, little bead. Sorry if it's out of focus. There we go. Alright, moving along. Here we come to the resume paper, which tells me I'm at the center of the signature. Again, I left these long so that whoever ends up with this journal can do what they will with that. And moving along, some more dyed paper. Put this pretty pink ribbon along the edge and created a pocket out of a piece of that designer paper. I think this was part of a cut apart. And then I made these two little tags, and I used, again, a little bit of the designer paper, but I created a pocket here, and I used one of these again, inked it up, and I think there's a little bit of sheen to this one. Yes, there is. And that goes in there, and the back just has one of those little flowers there, and this is a tag you certainly could write on, but you'd need to use like a white jelly pen or gel pen or something like that, jelly roll. And here's another tag that I created, similar to that, just a little bit of a different pocket and a little bit of a different little card here, and that one has a little bit of sheen to it as well. And blank on the back, just like this one, and those go there. Okay, moving along, just another blank page for journaling space. And then here I used a couple of little, I don't know if they're glassine bags or paper bags really, but little bags there. And these are just some cut aparts. That's some designer paper in the background, and then a matted layer, and then these flowers from cut apart in the designer paper. And in here we just have this tag. This was also cut from the collage page that I did. Back is just inked up. And here is this card that I made. It's just a really thick piece of, it's almost like chipboard there, and I painted it with some gold paint. Another cluster here using book pages, tulle, some of that stretchy lace. I think there's some of that gold in there. I don't know if you can see it sparkle or not. Little pearlized button, and again a definition from dictionary with the word grow. So we're definitely going with a grow theme here. And this is on dyed paper. You can see it a little bit better on the back side, but I think as many of you know who deal with dyed papers, the front side can look quite different from the back side. Alright, on this side, this is a piece of very vintage paper, again over 100 years old, and I left it long and then I flipped it over to create a little tuck spot, and you can see on the bottom corner I used that punch. On the top it already had that hole in it, so I just left that. And here I just made this little paper clip that has this little tag in it, which I thought was really cute. That's not real stitching. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's I did it with my jelly roll and stamped a little butterfly there, and just this teeny tiny tag here that actually unfolds. So you have journaling, 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 journaling space. And then this is actually glued together onto this paper clip, but you can open it up and you can write inside. Okay, so there's that. And then this opens up, as I mentioned. There's journaling space in here. I made another one of these pockets with glassine, or baking paper actually, and napkins decoupaged on. And here's another one of these tags that I made. And again, this is just a white tag. And we have the butterflies with their little trails. Let's see if you can see that. Now I'm causing this thing to flicker. Anyway, it's all inked up, and this I went over with the Wink of Stella, so there's sparkle to it. I don't know if we're going to pick it up on camera or not. I think I just saw a little bit. Anyway, so again, the folding of a scrap of paper, and there is the back side. Sorry, I'm struggling getting that back in. It goes there, fold that back over, and we will put our paper clip back on. So as I said, when that's folded back over, that creates kind of a tuck spot there. Really love this side of this paper. Oh my gosh, you guys. Isn't that pretty? Oh, love it, love it, love it. And here we have this butterfly paper clip, which I think is so cute. And that's holding this on. And this is a little pocket, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of has a shimmer to it. And I inked up around the edges of that. It has this card in here for journaling space. Sorry. Come on, focus, focus, focus. or don't focus, focus, focus. You can see the gold trim around the edge of the card. Okay. And this is the other side of that piece of paper that I crinkled up and a little bit thicker. And I think I just caught a glimpse of, there might be some mica powder on there. It's hard for me to tell with this lighting. You know, that thing that I'm not supposed to be mentioning again? Yeah, that. Okay. Butterfly paper clip. Oh, so like that. We'd like to see all of that. Okay. And then I did some stamping here, and the block accidentally got ink on it. Well, I accidentally got ink on the block, and then I stamped it. But again, I'm okay with it not being perfect. And I think that might be on the opposite side of that vintage piece of paper. Okay, over here, another top tuck with banners. Another card made from that collage sheet that I did with decoupage of napkins, and there's some of the designer paper there in different pieces, as well as a big piece from the journaling book. Not journaling book, I just lied. That's not what I meant to say. From the gardening book. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. It's late here, you guys. I love this piece of paper. I think it's really pretty. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well. Sorry about that noise. My computer just cut out. I have my computer and I'm trying to watch what I'm doing here to make sure that, you know, I'm in focus and frame and so forth. I'm failing. I'm just saying, but I'm trying. Alright, over here is more dyed paper. And again, with the baking paper that I used and collaged napkin on there. And here we have another one of these cute little guys. I think those flaps open. Yeah, they do. For journaling space. And then this was just one of the cut aparts in the paper pad that I thought was kind of pretty, and I didn't want to not do anything with it. So I just cut it out and put it in here. And here is a little matchbook notebook that I made. You can see there's a little bit of a doily here. Well, not a little bit of a doily, but a doily. It's a little doily. And then I did a scallop punch out of that designer paper. And here's the little excuse me, embroidery thread that I used to stitch it together, tied into a little bow. And here's the back side. And then it just opens like this. Okay, like this. And inside is some scraps of some of the paper that I dyed. I think that this is actually lined paper, but some of this lined paper that I used when I got it wet by dyeing it, some of the lines kind of faded away, but that's okay. Alright, and that just goes back in there. And let's tuck these back in. Okay, and on the edge, you can see I did, whoopsie, sorry. There's this lace here, which I think is really nice. I like these really wide laces. And another bulb pin, and there's a little sparkly purple bead there. And the reason that I really like these laces and stuff is because when you sit this down, this is me just kind of not letting it flop open, but that's how thick it is just sitting like this. And I really feel like these junk journals that have all the lace and beads and stuff in them, it just looks like a piece of art to me. I don't know. I just think that they're so pretty to look at from the side or top down, you know. Anyway, sorry. I digress. Alright, so on this side is, again, a little bit of stamping. And this is dyed paper that had a doily laying on it when I dyed it. And you can tell we're coming to the end of the signature because tracing paper. Alright, I did another top tuck there with varying pieces of cardstock as banners. And this is a journaling card that I made, inked up. Again, that came from that piece of paper that I collaged. These are bits and pieces out of that gardening book, that vintage gardening book. I think it was from, like, when I say vintage, I believe it was from about 1980, the early 80s at the latest. So yeah, I guess vintage, right? I'm getting old. That's old, 40 years. Okay, anyway, so there's that. And we are moving on to the third signature. And of course, just like the other two, there is this little paper clip with the flag on it that I have stamped with that butterfly. And as is true of the other signatures, the outside, or the front and the back, are made with designer paper. In here, excuse me, in here I made a pocket out of a cut apart. I don't know if you can see that. I have that paper clip in the way. But there's that, and it has more of that rose gold foiling on there. And this is one of the things, as I mentioned earlier, that I use book pages to make different things, so that I salvaged some of the book pages as well. This is from that gardening book, that vintage gardening book, which I thought was kind of neat. And I did, I think I mentioned I have like this really huge sponge stamp thing. I don't know what the heck, but it's like an old Martha Stewart one, and you can see how big around it is. It's huge. Anyway, so I stamped that with purple, and here's the front of it, and I put some, I don't know what the heck that is, plastic of some sort. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I made this. Might have come from some packaging or something like that. Anyway, take that out and you see that, and it's folded over a little bit there, and I ripped the edges of the page. Thought that was really pretty. Of course, it's all inked up. And then I made this tag to go inside, and as you saw before I pulled this out, you could see this showing through. And again, this is from that book, this picture and the description there. Up here I used one of those little cards that I've had stashed in little pockets and stuff throughout that I inked up, and then I put a bit of that stretchy lace there, and this garden flowers that came from that same book. A little piece of cardstock back there, and then this is a matte piece of cardstock that's matted, and then I did some faux stitching around this part of it with my jelly roll. Poor thing, it's seen better days. And that's the back side of that. As I've mentioned, I recently moved, and I feel that I didn't do a very good job of packing up all my journals and stuff. But I was down to the wire, kind of a lot of last minute craziness going on. Then again, tracing paper. And here we are with this. I am not necessarily crazy about the way that these turned out, but it is what it is. It was, I think, one of my first attempts at making like oversized tickets. These might be the ones that I'm a little bit happier with than some of the others that I made. But there's a belly band here. It's a piece of one of those cut apart pages, and it's on some matted with some cardstock. Alright, so here are the tickets that I made. Did some fussy cutting of these little bitty flowers. And there's some tulle on there, and some layers of scrap colored paper, dyed paper, along with some scraps from the book pages. And the backs are just inked up a little bit. And there's this one, and on these all, I forgot to mention, I did some heat embossing. I stamped some words on, and then on this one I used gold glittery embossing powder. On that one it's white, but again you can see the fussy cut flowers, and this says bloom, the other one said grow, as you can probably see, and I probably don't need to tell you that. On these I didn't do a word, I just did these little birdies in bird cages, and there's some washi tape there, some washi tape down here, and each one has a fussy cut flower, and I believe I put Winka Stella on these flowers. I don't know if you can see them sparkling or not, but there's that. I think I might have put Winka Stella on. Did I put it on all the flowers? I don't think so. Anyway, there's that page, and I just left it blank on the back of this. And then over here, there's that, you can see with the doily, and then there's some lace on the edge of this piece of paper. I can't believe I didn't put a bead or anything on that. Okay. Then over here, a little bit of stamping. Vintage piece of paper there, I believe. More crinkled paper that's been dyed. And here another one of those pocket that I made out of the baking paper with a decoupaged napkin. And this also has 3 little things. It's another one of these little guys here for journaling. And another tag made out of that collaged cardstock that I did. And pretty ribbons on here, and a couple different kinds of ribbons there. And another tag made out of that cardstock that I did collaging on. Same elements, tissue paper, or bits and pieces from that vintage book, flowers from the cardstock, and so on. This too has some lace on the edge. Whoopsies. Okay, stop. And this one actually has a safety pin here, and there's a little, whoops, if I can get this up to show you, a little dangly on it that sparkles. It kind of looks like a crystal type thing there, although of course it's not real. And that's the back side of the paper. And here's another tuck spot that I made, and I created that using pages out of that book, that vintage book. Another one of these clusters, a little purple button and some embroidery thread and that lace and tulle and the book pages, a little bit of cardstock going across there. And in this pocket we have a couple of things, so let's go ahead and pull these out and have a look. This is fun. This opens like this, and inside some of those cut apart flowers. They're blank on the back. They can serve as little journaling cards. There's that. You can see these are all, there are 4 circles here that I cut out with my my circle punch, yeah. And then I cut that flower out of the paper and put that on there. And hopefully I'll get this closed correctly, because that was, nope, wrong way. Am I really going to sit here and mess around with this while you guys are there? Probably. There we go. There's a right way and a wrong way to close this. There we go. So that's that. And then I made this tag. Oopsies, sorry. I did some inking, and this is covered in Wink of Stella. Let's see if I can get that to pick up for you. Maybe not with this messed up lighting. Oh, I think I got a little bit. But anyway, I used the ink, jeez, and made circles on it. And the Wink of Stella, actually, I went in circles, and you can't really tell. Oh, there it is. But I tried to go in a circular motion with the Wink of Stella to correspond with that. Of course, in some cases there weren't circles, so I didn't, but I just did a little cluster here with some book page, some tulle, some of that stretchy, 2 different colors there. They came upon a garden, something so significant. That was from a book. I just cut out some words from one of the books that I gutted. It was not from the Better Homes and Gardening book. It was from some other book. And a couple little cloth flowers there. And here's some ribbon. You can kind of see it sticking through there, coming through. And then there's a little stamp right there, little orange flowers. And then this is corrugated board that I inked up to make some lines on the back. And a little journaling card. Okay, and that goes there. And here, some more paper that is dyed, and stamped some butterflies there, and used a jelly roll to make their trails. Yeah, I lost the word trails. I also drew a little doodly flower down there in the corner. I don't know how well you can see that, and I don't know that that really matters, but there's that. Alright, over here, another top tuck. You can see the butterfly showing through. Oops, here comes my big orange kitty. Please don't bump the camera or anything. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I went to pick him up and he jumped instead. Sorry, guys. Alright, and this is another one of those cards that has a little tuck there. And, oh, kitty hair. And here is the resume paper, which tells us that we are coming to the center of the signature. I don't suppose at this point I have to repeat that, so there's that. And then here we have another double tuck spot in the lower portion of the page, lower corner. And we have some more of these tickets that I made, and those are done with Wink of Stella, and this is heat embossed, the butterfly, and there they are. I don't know if it's going to pick up the Wink of Stella, it's sparkly, but there's that. And I just had that sitting in this front pocket here. Oops. And in the back pocket, another tag that I created, and I did the same thing with the Wink of Stella on the background with the inking and the circles, and yeah, ooh, hey, there we go. You can kind of see it there. And I made another cluster, more flowers, that same ribbon, and on the back, the same process. And as you can see, that's more dyed paper. And we come to this side of the dyed paper. Now, I tried this out. I haven't seen anyone else do something like this, but I thought that I would try it and see what I thought. As you can see, there's room left on this side of the page for journaling. But I used those little cut aparts to create pockets here, and each one has a little circle so you can get a hold of it, but then it folds out to be journaling space. And I did ink the edges of the paper. And as I recall, again, it's been a while since I made this. Yeah, they're all the same. Just, you know, the dyed paper might be a little bit different, but pretty much all the same. All right, back here, another top tuck made out of varying size banners from cardstock. And this is a little tuck spot, pretty fragile tuck spot because it's made with a doily, so you wouldn't want to put anything too thick in there, but tuck spot nonetheless. And on the back, just I adhered some dyed paper. Again, when I adhere the dyed paper to the backs of these cards, I tend to only adhere it around the edges because I like that moves, that there's a little bit of bubbly to it, so that when you write on it, kind of makes a little bit of noise. And I think that this might have been a piece that was dyed with a little bit of mica powder. Okay, moving along. Here's a piece of, I think, tea dyed paper. You can see a little bit of where I had a doily laying on there. This is very, very subtle. And then there is this lace on the edge. I love, love, love this design. I think it's so pretty. And there's a black bold pin here with a little shimmery bead that's kind of multifaceted, and it gives you a multicolor look. Yeah. Alright, back side, and the other side of that crinkled up piece of paper, and I had a doily on there. I don't know if it's picking it up or not, but there's that. And then this is really old paper that I punched the corners of. And then this thing, oh my god, you guys. Alright, here's the paper that I dyed. This thing, I was trying to be creative. At the end of the day, I am not in love with this. I'm not even close. But here it is, and I figured, okay, it's in there now. There's nothing I can do about it, so whatever. But these little things come out, and they are circles that have been folded in quarters, and there are 2 there. So they sit in there. Okay, I just messed that up, but we'll pretend I didn't. And then behind here, each one of these comes out, and it's a similar thing. Just fold them out, and they are little journaling spots. So all 4 of those come out. So yeah, I think that I kind of like the idea of it, but I think I might have used maybe different combinations of paper or something. I mean, even though they came from the same paper pad, sometimes too much is just too much. Yeah. Alright, the back side, again, another baking paper and napkin decoupage there. And then I made this. I kind of like this little cut apart because I felt like those little spaces for writing were kind of neat. You can make a list there, favorite flowers or something. I don't know. Anyway, I ended up adhering that to a piece of cardstock because I wanted it to be longer, because I put this in here. And just some scraps from some dyed paper. And there's that. Oh, and this cardstock has some shimmer to it, as I think you can see on the camera. And we'll tuck that back in. Some more dyed paper with some stamping there, purple ink. And then we're coming to the back. There's that. And there is our tracing paper again. And then back here is, this is a tuck spot, and this is like a photo mat here. Get this out gently. That's a big piece of that designer paper. I just really like the color combination, so I wanted to include this. And on the back, it's another piece of designer paper. It's actually paper instead of cardstock. It didn't come from the same paper pad, but I thought that it would be an interesting way to add some lines to the back of this. Again, you'll have to use a, sorry for reaching across, a jelly roll. Yeah, that's upside down, but a jelly roll or something similar, some sort of gel pen to write on that. But there's that, and yeah, just kind of a double tuck spot here. I mean, you could put other things, but I really like that paper design there. I think you might recall that I used that as the cover of one of the signatures. I just really liked it a lot. And then that at the bottom. And then in the back, I made, in a lot of the journals that I make a heavier card. And although it's still a little bit flimsy, I try to make it so that if you're writing in your journal, you have something to put behind it to give you a little bit of stability for writing. So there's that. And again, it was made using pages out of that vintage gardening book. This is one of the images that was in it. And the back side is just a page out of that book. Alright, and then there's the back. Some more of that lace, more of that same cardstock that we used in the front cover, and this is the back of the signature. Alright, for those of you who made it all the way through, I just want to say I really appreciate your time. I know that this was long and probably annoying because of the lighting situation here, but I thank you, and I hope you will continue to watch my videos. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing, clicking on the bell to get notifications for when I upload, and give this video a like if you liked this journal. Thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.